Welcome to the Niche Pursuits podcast. Today we're joined by Monica Louie, and we are talking all about Facebook advertising. Monica runs a ad agency that does Facebook ads and Instagram ads for clients, and she joins us today to talk about the opportunities that are out there for content creators and website owners when it comes to advertising. Now, many of us are used to putting ads on our site and making money from advertisers. But this whole topic today is about using ads, mostly on Facebook, to drive traffic to your website, whether that is to sell your own products, whether it's to generate leads in the form of maybe email addresses, or whether it's even just to drive it to certain high-performing content of yours, maybe a really high-paying affiliate offer or something like that. And so we get into the nitty-gritty about what a successful ad campaign looks like today. She goes through the three most important things that you need to be paying attention to and that you need to look at when you are doing an ad campaign. I ask her just tons of questions on a lot of details, video, all the different places you can put your ad, what type of offers are working really well today, what kind of ROAS, and if you don't know what that is, she goes through that. You should be expecting all these little details along the way. She also shares some really cool results from websites that she's worked with that are similar to what a lot of people listening might have. All in all, I just thought it was a very encouraging interview. It got me thinking, as someone who owns several websites, probably leaving some good opportunity on the table. And we kind of talk about that at the end, like what to do if you do have a paid product that you're not running ads with, but also what to do if you don't have a paid product. Should you find a way to create one because of the types of opportunities that are available through advertising? So I think it'll get your wheels spinning quite a bit. Hope you enjoy today's interview with Monica.
Hey everyone, it's Spencer Hawes here, founder of the Niche Pursuits podcast. So I recently read a Twitter thread asking about the most underrated strategy in SEO. One of the most common answers given was internal link building. The reason? Well, sometimes people put so much emphasis on external links, they forget that not only do internal links provide relevancy and SEO benefits, but that Google actually encourages you to build internal links. Now, I get it. Building internal links can often feel time-consuming and boring. And that's why I created Link Whisper. Link Whisper is a powerful WordPress plugin that makes building internal links so much faster and easier. You can quickly get relevant internal link suggestions as you write, and with the simple check of a box, add one or multiple internal links to your articles. And perhaps my favorite time saver is the ability to see how many internal links all my articles have, and to quickly get new internal link suggestions to articles I want to boost in Google. With comprehensive internal link reporting and the ability to add links with the simple check of a box, I can't even imagine going back to building internal links manually. Link Whisper is by far the most powerful, effective, and easiest to use internal link building tool out there. Give it a try, and if you don't agree, I'll give you your money back, no questions asked. In fact, for podcast listeners only, I'm offering a $15 off discount. Just go to linkwhisper.com and use discount code PODCAST at checkout to save $15. So as the creator of Link Whisper, I might be a little biased, but I highly recommend that you head over to linkwhisper.com today to check it out. Again, that's linkwhisper.com, and be sure to use discount code PODCAST at checkout. Thanks again.
Welcome back to the Niche Pursuits podcast. My name is Jared Bauman, and today we are joined by Monica Louie with Team Flourish. Welcome on board, Monica.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, I am really glad to have you on as well. Excited to have you join us. This is a topic that we have not gotten into very much lately. And so it's going to be really, really fun to hear your angles on this topic of kind of advertising as it relates to content creation and websites. Why don't you give us a little bit of background? I know you have some backstory in this industry a bit, so I'd love to hear a little bit on what got you here.
Sure. So I'm Monica Louie. I have a Facebook and Instagram ads agency and education company. So we both manage ads for our clients and then also teach what's working and the strategies that are working in my program. So I absolutely love Facebook ads, and I actually stumbled upon it way back when I had my blog back in 2015. I ran my first campaign. I had a personal finance blog sharing our family's journey out of debt. So my husband and I paid off $120,000 of debt
Oh,
in two
wow.
years, all
Geez.
on a single middle class income. So I like to stress middle class. So it was a lot of hustle, a lot of focus, but we did it. And so I was starting to learn about online business back then. We had two little bitty kids at the time, and I wanted to find a way that I can make money from home on my own schedule and, be able to be around and have flexibility for the kids while they're little. And so I came across blogging. So I started off, we had this story. People were asking us how we were paying off the debt so quickly. And I was like, oh, that's what I can blog about. So
Hmm.
that's what I did. And through that, I started following people like Amy Porterfield, Pat Flynn. And through Amy Porterfield, learned about the wonderfulness of Facebook ads and reaching a targeted audience through social media, advertising for getting your offers in front of people who are interested in what you have to share. So that's what I did. I had some great success with my own campaigns. And then very quickly, my growing network in the personal finance blogging space was getting very interested in Facebook ads to grow their platforms. And so one by one, people started reaching out for my help. And I realized we were getting amazing results and I was having a lot of fun doing it. And so I ended up selling that blog and transitioning to Facebook ads. Been doing it
I
ever
was going to
since.
ask you where the personal finance site is today, if you still had it.
Yeah. Well, so I sold it at the end of 2016.
Congrats.
So yeah, thank you. It wasn't for a lot of money, but it was nice to have that, closure on it and get a little bit of money for all the time and energy we, invested in it. So yeah, so it's still out there and still encouraging people to get out of debt and become debt free. So
Those were I don't want to say the early days because it weren't the early days of Facebook advertising, but a lot has changed since then. And so
mhm.
I'm sure we're going to get into all that. What do you think led to your ability somewhat out of the gate to be able to get ads to work so well, especially for what sounds like a content site? It's not like your typical maybe e-commerce product or some of the typical things you might see on Facebook ads.
Yeah. So well, back when I started with my own campaigns, I was promoting my debt freedom training, my webinar. And so that was kind of the example that Amy was giving in her teachings. And so I followed it, her teachings to a T. And I examined the different types of ads that she gave as examples and kind of used that to draft my ad copy and come up with an image. My husband was my graphic designer back then.
Yep.
So, and that is not his specialty. So it's very much, but it's better than I could do. So we laugh at those first graphics, but they worked. And then when people in the personal finance space started to reach out for my help, their real goal was to grow their blogs, to get more traffic to their sites, and they were monetizing with affiliate revenue and, of course, paid advertising, paid networks on their website. And so the strategy that we started working on back then was just driving traffic to monetize blog posts. That was the main strategy. There was a little bit of, grow your email list here to build that relationship and get people into your funnel. But back then it was like just get traffic to the site and continue to scale it up. And that worked really, really well.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, it was also a time when I think, organically, Facebook and Pinterest and a lot of these social media platforms still had a lot of reach when it comes to organic
Yes.
traffic. So, was there any crossover that you were seeing back then? And then we'll transition more into now because I'm
Yeah.
sure that's what most people want to hear. But
Yeah.
was there any crossover from, the ads having an impact on the organic rankings, having an impact on the website
Absolutely.
rankings, having, kind of this complete circle almost?
Yeah, it was really, really cool. So yeah, so back then Facebook still kind of pushed out, organic posts from the pages. And so we could see that, we could see the ad impact of driving traffic to those specific websites and then having them, my clients would see on their back end, like the SEO rankings improving on those specific pages. But then also we could see the data of growing their pages, which led to more engagement on the page and more engagement on their organic posts. And it was kind of this really nice, multiple side benefits of driving traffic to the monetized blog post. We could see that obviously traffic was increasing and they could see their affiliate revenue was increasing, which was the main goal. But we saw these other side benefits back then that we were able to enjoy too.
Ah, so great. Side note, little funny story about Amy Porterfield. I've never met her. My last business, though, one time, it was like a Tuesday or Wednesday, started getting a text from a lot of friends in my business circles in the online marketing space. And apparently, one of the landing pages for a free guide that we were using at my company to generate, leads,
Yeah.
had gotten used in an Amy Porterfield webinar
That's
as
awesome.
as an example. So to this day, that's my claim to fame when it comes to
Claim to
Amy
fame. I
Porterfield.
love it. That's awesome.
Still never met her, but well, good. So obviously, landscape has changed a lot since then in terms of advertising. Why don't you catch us up on where your agency is right now, today? And we're talking at the end of 2022, beginning of 2023. So where are you now? What is that? 6 years later?
Yeah. We're wrapping up our 6th year doing this. And so it's been quite the journey, but a lot of fun along the way. Definitely some challenges with Facebook changing. And last year, the big thing was Apple rolled out the iOS 14 update, which impacted, changed their terms of and conditions that all app creators had to abide by. And so that meant Facebook, obviously one of the big popular apps, had to kind of adjust its advertising strategies in order to still maintain their app on the App Store. So that really, in response, Facebook changed up the ads platform, added a few more steps for us. So it was a little bit, of a blip of needing to kind of figure out how tracking was going to work in this new world post iOS 14. But we figured it out, and we're getting amazing results with our clients still to this day. Many of the strategies that we're doing right now are either going straight to a paid product. So we work with clients that have digital products and programs. And so we're either going straight to a sales page very successfully, or getting leads into the sales funnel and then retargeting with those paid offers on the back end. So those are the two main strategies that we're using today. And then still top of funnel when it makes sense, driving traffic to content pieces, videos, blog posts, things like that to help kind of warm up those audiences to the offers down the road.
Okay, good. I have a lot of questions already.
Yes. Yes.
Taking notes over here. So what's the agency at in terms of like the number of people you're managing, in terms of the number of clients you have? Maybe give us a little tease of some awesome number like the ad spend you manage or something like that.
Yeah. So average ad spend, we've managed $4 million in ad spend, and right now it's about 50,000 a month that we're managing across our multiple clients, and scaling up the clients that have the budget to do so. And so it's been really exciting. As far as our team, we're a small team managing those clients. We consider ourselves a boutique agency. So we're not like one of those big ad mill agencies, which we really like. We've heard really great things about the way that we work with our clients, that we really pride ourselves in that premium level of service. We tailor all the ad copy. There's no like templates that we're using, for either ad copy or graphics or anything like that. Everything is customized, fully customized to our clients and their offers. And then that allows us to test a bunch of different things, which is really fun.
What kind of businesses are you typically working with? I mean, again, there's such a wide range of different people listening to the podcast here that you're probably working with some people that are of the same kind of business of some listeners here. But maybe give us, do you have an avatar that is the perfect client avatar, or is it more spread out across different types of businesses?
Yeah. So early on, the early days, it was definitely the people in the personal finance space.
Right.
I was lucky to happen to have a growing network in that space. And that really helped me niche down back then. It was really helped me, get off the ground and learn that space really well. But now we expand to really any online business that has digital products or coaching programs, courses, memberships, downloads, whether paid or free, things like that is really where we specialize to this day. So some of our clients, we have a few actually in the craft space, teaching people crafts and how to make super cool things. And then we have a really high-end photographer that we work with. And so she has courses teaching her photography techniques to other, up and coming photographers. We have a fun client in the home building space where his audience is building their custom homes, and he's got a great checklist. It's a $47 checklist, and it converts like crazy because it covers all the things that you want to make sure that you maybe don't know that you might not know that you need to pay attention to as you're planning your custom home or working on your upgrades to your house project that you don't really want to mess up and then have to pay thousands of dollars later to go back and fix it. So he's got a really great product there that converts really well. So kind of just all the gamut, but really we specialize with digital products and programs,
Yeah.
courses, memberships, those things.
Okay. Okay. I mean, let's get into a little bit of the nitty gritty. What, at the risk of being too broad with my question, like what does a successful strategy or ad campaign look like in today's, I mean, I'll say complicated, right? Like complicated kind of Facebook and social media environment. Like what's the recipe, if you will? What are some of the success tips you can share for that?
Yeah. No, that's a really great question. And so it's something that I did figure out early on, and it still is true to this day. So when I first started working, outside of my own campaigns, working with other people and testing different offers, different strategies, and really figuring out, well, this one didn't really work out the way we wanted to, but this one really took off. What happened over here? Figuring out those similarities, it really comes down to three things. So three key
Okay.
elements that need to work together in order to have success with your campaigns. So the first thing is you've got to have a great offer. So whatever that is that you're promoting in your ad, whether it's your, lead magnet to grow your email list, your blog post that you're driving content, traffic to, your paid product, even if you're going straight to the paid product, whatever that is, it's got to be a great offer that people want, of course. And then you get that offer in front of the right audience. And so Facebook gives us a lot of different targeting options, but we've got to get the offer in front of people who are actually interested in that type of content, or
Mhm.
that type. And then you do that with a high converting ad. So there are lots of different ad formats. Facebook keeps adding, more placements. Nowadays we've got reels. First off, it was mostly the feed ad, and then we added in stories, and did more on Instagram, and now we've got reels on Facebook and Instagram. So they keep adding a bunch of different ad formats and different places where our ads can show up. So you've got to, stop the scroll and grab attention, but then also entice people to take action. So in order to do that, you've got to have a great ad, get it in front of the right people. And of course, it's got to be with a great offer.
So let's talk about the first one, the great offer. That's the first one you mentioned. And the great
Yeah.
offer, I mean, that really comes down to the product you're trying to sell, right?
Yeah. Well, so if you have a paid product that you're trying to sell, then that could be the offer that you go straight to, or it could be the lead magnet at the beginning of your
Hmm.
sales funnel, or it could be that piece of content that really needs to, kind of open people's eyes to the sales funnel path. So whatever that initial conversation needs to be, that's what you want to get in front of people.
Almost, it sounds like top of the funnel, middle of the
Yep.
funnel, bottom of the funnel
Yep.
kind of
Exactly.
marketing.
Yep. Yeah.
To borrow HubSpot and dozens of other marketing companies. Well, which one is there one that's working better than the other? Like I could see for people listening who are content heavy, a lot of our listeners are content heavy,
Mhm.
right? And certainly don't yet have their own products. And so
Okay.
they might want to drive advertising to either traffic or
Yeah.
to a lead gen offer to move them over to
Yeah.
an email list. And that would be obviously not having their own product at that point, but driving the other two types of channels. Are those as successful and easy to convert on? Do they make sense in terms of the revenue versus it? Or is it more beneficial to just try to drive straight for, your product, I guess?
I would say that's a great place to start. And I think when people are new to Facebook ads, starting with those top of funnel type strategies is going to help you learn and understand the platform and learn what resonates with your audience in meeting them in this way. So meeting them on social media, on Facebook or Instagram, through their feed. When they're not, most content creators are trying to optimize for SEO, searching for, having those keywords for that solution that people are typing and searching for. Whereas now with social media, you are getting in front of them as they're just scrolling. So your offer has to stand out, your ad needs to stand out, and then kind of meet their pain point, or make it clear that you're talking to them and their specific issue. So I think those strategies are great to start off with. I mean, one of the main strategies that I teach is driving traffic to a monetized blog post, for example. And because I think you can start with a smaller budget, $5 to
Yeah.
$10 a day is all you need.
Wow, really?
And you can
Okay.
get a lot of results for that small budget. So really you don't need to, do an arm and a leg at the ads manager, hoping that it all goes well. You can really learn a lot with those smaller budgets when you're using a strategy like that. So I would say, take your piece of content and maybe that it converts really well with your, top affiliate or affiliates, or it does really great at getting people onto your email list. Whatever your main goal is right now, choose a piece of content that helps support that goal already. And maybe it does well, and already get some organic shares when people share it on, Pinterest or social media, so that that people are resonating with that piece of content. And then I would test that in an ad, and really $5 or $10 a day, test a couple different audiences, test maybe, one or two simple ads. And for the traffic strategy, you only need a very simple ad. You don't need to have a lot of copy, really a little bit of copy, one or two lines is all you need. And then a lot of times for that strategy, we use a stock image that's relevant to the content. And that converts really well. So it's really fast and easy to get up and get going. And then you can learn a lot about, okay, how did that work? What was the click-through rate? How did people engage with that ad? Did it get attention, or do I need to test a new headline, or maybe another ad copy version to try and hook people into actually clicking through to my site?
It's a good point. I love that you brought it up. I want to double down on it, that if you're spending your time creating content with an SEO focus, right, then you're really optimizing the content for people that are already typing those queries in. It's very different than people who are on Facebook. They're not necessarily actively looking for your product, your article, your information at that time. And so the ad copy and the offer, it's so different than maybe what you might get used to from a search focused approach.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what I would do though? If so let's say you've got this article, it's already getting decent traffic from the people who are searching for it, searching for that content. It's getting some traffic organically, some engagement. I would create an audience of people who visited that specific blog post, and then create a lookalike audience of that. So the lookalike audience is where you tell Facebook, okay, here are the type of people that we think are interested in this offer already. So in this case, the blog post, these are the people that are already engaging with the blog post. So let's find more people. And we put the work on Facebook to help us find more people who are interested in that content, interested in that topic. And Facebook, of course, they know, way too much about us, but as advertisers, we can use that to get our content, get our offers in front of the right people who are interested in what we have to share.
And this is mostly being done in the case of an audience and really building your audience out in Facebook. Is this vital that you're using the pixel? And maybe explain a little bit about that and talk people through, just from a high level, how to get that and where it would go on their website, and then what it does for you.
Yes. Okay. So I am definitely not techie. I always like to say that. So the pixel, if you're not techie like I am, it can sound a little intimidating, but if you're a techie, then it's going to be a piece of cake. So the pixel is a piece of code that Facebook gives you, and it's unique to your ad account. And so you can find that in the business manager in Facebook, in the events manager page. You can find your pixel, and all you need to do is copy the piece of code and then paste it into the header section of your website. And then as long as you put it in your main website, it should be across your entire domain. If you use other landing page builders like Lead Pages or other, course creation tools, things like Teachable, things like that, then you want to install it in those other places as well. But for your main website, it should be just one and done, put it in there, and it should be good to go. And so that allows Facebook to kind of see who is engaging on your website, so that as people, come to your website, whether it's through search or other means of traffic, they come to your website. If they don't opt into your email list so that they can stay in touch with you, you can get back in front of them with an ad. So you can create an audience of those people who've recently been to your website, and then they'll use the lookalike example, where you can say, okay, Facebook, these are the people visiting my website. I know they're interested in my content. Help me find more people like them who are going to be interested in my content as well.
It's really remarkable what you're able to do when you start thinking about the types of audiences you can get in front of with technology like this.
Yes.
Moving into audiences, and let's say that you've determined what type of offer you want to go with, or that you want to test with, and talk people through the audiences that are working in today. And again, if you're not familiar with Facebook, right, like there's a lot of different choices you can use for how you target the ad, who you put it in front of. It's very similar, by the way, if you're doing Google AdWords, like you have to kind of pick where your ad's going to be served. And I can only imagine how complicated it is now with Facebook and maybe how they've changed some things in the past couple of years. Like, how are you approaching audiences now, and what's working in today's environment?
Yeah. So it depends on, so we always look at what is the offer, what is the goal. So if the offer is, a paid product, and if it's a higher paid product, like a higher price paid product, then we may want to only serve that to our warm audiences. So that's where we'll create the audiences of, we'll upload our email list of people who, have engaged with us, they're on our list, but they haven't yet purchased. We'll also, create those website visitors audiences like we talked about with the pixel. And then we can create some engagement audiences for those who've engaged with us on Facebook or Instagram. So we can get back in front of those people. So that would be our warm audience. If it's like the goal is to expand your audience and grow your audience. So you want to drive traffic to the blog post like we were talking about, or you want to grow your email list and offer your lead magnet, then that's where we would also target our warm audiences and then just exclude the people who've already opted into our email list, for example. But then we can use those lookalike audiences. So we can say, okay, these people are on my email list. I want to find more people who are interested in being on my email list. So let's create a lookalike there. If you have a small audience, so you're just starting out, you don't have a lot of traffic right now, your email list is pretty small, then I would say also test, or you can start off with testing a detailed targeting audience. And so that's where you can plug in keywords for your niche in there. And then I'll enter a couple of keywords related to the niche where we're targeting. And then I click on the little suggestions box or button, and then it gives me a drop down of some other suggestions that Facebook thinks might be relevant for your audience. And so that can be really helpful. Just be careful to make sure that they actually are relevant and related to the audience that you're trying to create. But that's how I'll start to create an audience of people that I think are going to be interested. So back when I was having my Debt Freedom blog, sharing our debt free story, I tested lookalike. I had a very small Facebook page. I think maybe like 400 people, maybe about, 300, 400 people, maybe on my email list, very
Mhm.
small. So I tested those lookalikes. And then I also tested a detailed targeting audience of people following Dave Ramsey and then other, related brands and keywords, and created an audience that way. So those were the different types of audiences that I tested, even when I was just starting out, when I had a really small audience. So that's what I would do. If you have the budget to work with to test multiple audiences, then I would definitely recommend testing a lookalike audience if you can, and then a detailed targeting audience.
I was going to ask you about that. So if I have competitors of my website, can I target, say, their followers, or would I be targeting their followers? Would I be just targeting people that show that as an interest? How does that work right now? If I know my competitors, or I know maybe, you mentioned the home builder, maybe I could go after like a home builder magazine that I know is really popular or something. Like, how are people
Yeah.
maybe able to embrace those kinds of topics?
Yeah, those are the things that I would type into the detailed
Okay.
targeting and see if they come up as an option. So there's no rhyme or reason as to who shows up or which brands show up to target their audience. And so some are really large and you would think for sure this is going to be an option, and then it's not. And then there are some smaller ones that are like, "Oh, I was surprised that this was an option, but okay." So you might be surprised. You might not be able to target all of your competitors, but yes, I would definitely see which of your competitors or related resources that,
Mhm.
your audience is checking out and engaging with, and then see if those come up in that detailed targeting section.
Let's talk a bit about where to place these ads. Uh, Back in the olden days, it was pretty easy. Either we're in the news feed or the sidebar, I think they called it. Or
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
And now, like you mentioned, there's so many different places that you can put your ad. I mean, are some more successful than others? Are some more for certain types of offers than others? Maybe give people a little bit of guidance as they're
Yeah.
trying to figure out what type of placement to be
Sure.
to go for their ad.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's a great question. And it does depend on your strategy and your goal. So if you are, driving traffic to your blog post, then what we found is that the cost per landing page view is higher on Instagram than it is on Facebook. People on Instagram just aren't used to consuming as much content that way, clicking over to an article. Whereas Facebook, people have been doing that for, years. And so it's easier to get the click through people's Facebook feed.
Mm.
So for when your goal is to drive traffic to a blog post, then I would stick with Facebook. But if your goal is that conversion, either that opt-in to your email list or that paid, purchase, then I would test both Facebook and Instagram and all placements there. So when you're just starting out, then I would do the all placements recommended placements that Facebook has in when you're setting up your campaign. And then as you are testing, you've done a few campaigns, then you can really test the different placements. Generally, when working with our clients, we will do the all placements unless we have done a test to see that, okay, this one really does seem to convert better over here versus this placement. So one of our clients, they were interested. They wanted to know, how does my audience respond on Facebook versus Instagram versus the feed placements versus stories and reels. And so we took one of our ads that was converting really well in just the all placements option. And then we separated it out when we restructured the campaign. We separated it out. So we could see the results from Facebook feed, and then Instagram feed, and then we did stories and reels. And we found for that offer, so it was quite the test, but for that offer, it converted better. And this was for a paid product. It converted better just going on the feed ads on both Facebook and Instagram. So that's how we've moved forward with that offer since then. But in most cases, I would stick with all, unless you're doing the traffic campaign.
Unless you're doing it. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, I run a marketing agency myself. We don't do ads, actually. It's all organic stuff, but I work a lot with businesses that also have an ad account manager with them. And I will second that testing is so important. It's amazing how, one company, one offer does really well with this type of ad. And then you go to the next company and you're watching their offer on a totally different, platform or, so it's just a lot of testing.
Yes.
Okay. Speaking of options, let's talk a bit about video as it relates to advertising on, say, a Facebook and an Instagram. I mean, Instagram announced, I believe it was either earlier this year or last year, that in general, they consider themselves to be a video first platform now. Certainly, yes. Facebook has a lot of video in it. Do people who advertise need to take video into consideration now? Is it an advantage? Is it not much of an advantage? And it's really just go with whatever is best, whether it's a static photo type ad or text type ad versus a video ad? I'm just curious to get your thoughts on video ads.
Yeah. So we have been doing more with video for sure. And we have some of our clients are doing reels very consistently, reels and TikToks. And so for those clients, we are testing those as the creative, those, short form, highly engaged videos as the creative in the ad, and they're converting like crazy. But I would still say that we are still seeing really great results with image ads. And we're doing a lot with animated image ads. So we use Canva for most of our graphics, and Canva has made it really easy. You can add a little bit of movement on your graphics. You can create your graphic about your offer and then just have a little bit of animation, whether it's like a circle going around, a little bit of movement can help to catch the eye. And it helps, I think, push it out and get more engagement on the ad. So we still do a lot of image ads. Those can be the fastest type of ad to get going.
Yeah.
So we still test those out. And what we've done with one of our clients, we saw that he does great with video. So he provided some videos, we pushed out the videos, but we also had these image ads. And when we looked at the numbers of the image ads, the conversion rate was so much higher than the video ads. The video ads got a lot of engagement. So Facebook was like, hey, let's get more eyes on these. But they weren't pushing with the way that we had our campaign structured, they weren't pushing out the image ads as much. So what we ended up doing is we separated out the image ads and the video ads into separate campaigns so we could better control the budget going to each type of ad. And so that's the way we did that. It's a few months ago now, gosh, almost 6 months ago. And it's allowed us to really be able to scale up because the image ads are still doing really great and we're able to give them more budget, but the video ads are still doing really great and we're able to, give them a, necessary budget, but it's a little bit more balanced now and we have more control over it. So anyway, so that was a really big win for us. And we saw that even by doing that, the conversion rate is increasing all across the board. And we're able to scale up where it makes sense because we have more control over the budget.
So I don't know much about this, but let me ask you a question about the scenario you just went forward with, and just either tell me. Don't worry, you don't have to be worry about embarrassing me, and you can tell me I'm totally wrong. It's okay. But hearing you talk about that, what about would it make sense to maybe lead with a video ad because it's so engaging, and then retarget everyone who clicked on the video ad with your image ad because it's so much better converting? Does that work, or is that overcomplicating it?
So I think for this particular offer, it converts so well going straight to the sales page that we don't need to do that. But I think
Okay.
that can be a good strategy. So that's where it could be like a top of funnel video. And then those people who are watching the video, you retarget with the next ad that, converts well and helps them to the next step. So I think that can be a valid strategy. So yeah, when people need warming up for this product though, that we're offering, it converts like crazy. And so we're just scaling. And
Right.
that's
Okay.
what we're focused on for that.
So your scenario, right? You were running video ads and image ads to the product, to the sales page, and noticing and comparing how they both did versus what I was saying would be more run your ad to a very top of the funnel type product if you want to go that route, or maybe even just a piece of content and then maybe retarget that. Okay. That's good.
Yes.
That's a good distinction there. Okay, so I definitely want to get into some of the success stories that you had shared. I want to have those shared. I just have a couple more questions that I think people might have. I want to make sure everyone knows what I consider to be the best buzzword of the ad agency world. So again, as someone who works with ad agencies, as long as you know how to drop this acronym within the first 2 minutes of talking to an ad agency, you're instantly in, and that's ROAS. Now, talk through ROAS, talk through its importance, and maybe talk to people about why they need to pay attention to this if they're running ads.
Okay. So ROAS stands for return on ad spend. And so when your goal is to make sales from your ads, which many of us, that would be the driver for running ads, you want to know what your return on ad spend is. How much are you putting up, toward Facebook? How much ad spend are you spending versus what is the revenue generating from those ads, from those campaigns? And so your ROAS is your revenue divided by your ad spend. So anything more than one is profitable. If
you're making money,
ROAS is 1, then you're breaking even. So our goal generally is to shoot for at least 2 ROAS, and then we'll turn anything off that's just not hitting that mark. And then of course, scaling up on the ads and the campaigns that are doing much better than that. So that's our approach to using ROAS strategically. So if you set up your campaign the right way with the pixel, then Facebook can track the sales that are happening from your ads. So you've got to make sure that you have your pixel installed and you've got your campaign set up in order to track that. But then Facebook will tell you what your ROAS is by campaign, by audience. We put our audiences in the ad set and kind of organize them that way. And then by ad also. So then that's how we can see, okay, that's how we saw that the image ads were, bringing in a much higher ROAS than the video ads when we had them structured in the campaigns previously. And now they're a little bit more neck and neck. And sometimes, one does better than the other, but we're able to make adjustments now on the budget with this new campaign structure that we did based on the ROAS numbers.
Perfect. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, obviously you need to be above 1, but what would you recommend for people who aren't selling it straight to product? Like, how do you look at ROAS when you're either on a more complicated type of funnel or you're kind of going straight to like a lead gen offer for your email ad, your email list, or even just content? I mean, where does ROAS come in?
Yeah. So that can make it more challenging. So we have one of our clients does multiple funnels with webinars. So she'll do an evergreen webinar, and then she'll introduce her paid product. Most of them are courses. And then we'll follow up with a retargeting ad going straight to the paid product. But what we see is that a lot of people buy on the webinar. So the lead gen ads that are just all it's promoting is the webinar are bringing a really great ROAS because people are buying so quickly. Now, since the iOS 14 updates last year, the attribution window that Facebook was able to provide has shrunk. So it used to be they could provide data and results based on a 28-day time frame. So when people saw the ad, it could report data, up to 28 days later. Now it's only 7 days. So we have a 7-day window for Facebook to be able to share results based on people interacting with the ad. So that's why we have the retargeting campaigns going so that we have a 7-day window with the lead ad. And then depending on how long the funnel is, we can also have another 7 days once people see our retargeting ad. So that kind of resets the clock. And then we can see how many sales are coming from that 7-day window with the retargeting ad. And of course, getting back in front of people who are visiting the sales page and, encouraging people to, kind of go along the customer journey and make that decision.
That's a lot shorter. That's a bummer. I
Yeah.
guess changing privacy laws, that's a bummer. Because I bet there's people who watch the webinar, but you have a longer than 7-day purchase window that you kind of get lost now with.
Yeah, it's true. And that's why we want to make sure that we've got those retargeting ads coming, going so that we can have another touch point with people.
Yeah.
But then also we just are setting proper expectations with our clients that, the ROAS and the return of all we can share are minimum numbers.
Right. They're always
actual effect is probably much better than what we're able to share.
Right. They're going to be more conservative, I suppose, in that nature,
Yes.
Assuming some probably got swallowed up in the distribution between the 7-day and the old 28-day. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, inspire us a bit. Like, do you have any stories or case studies? And if you have any of bloggers, right? Anybody who might be in the content creation business, I would love to hear you share some of the, hear this kind of played out in practice.
Yeah. Okay. So one of my clients, we wrapped up last month her second summit. She is a blogger, content creator, YouTuber. She's kind of all the places. And she's in the craft space. And so she had this summit that she put together. She did the very first one earlier this year, and it was a smashing success. She had a bunch of speakers come in, and of course she spoke and presented. And all her offer was the free ticket to the summit. So you could watch, in real time, all of the speakers, and then get get access to their freebies and downloads and things like that. Or you could pay. So you get that. And then you could pay a little bit for the all access pass or the VIP pass, as she's calling it now, where you get access to the recordings. And so she had different price points for that based on when you purchased your ticket for the VIP access pass. And so, but really we're talking, I think $39 up to $97 for this ticket. And that was the only thing she was offering. And she made more than 200,000 in the first summit, and then did it again, more than 200,000 in the second summit.
Wow.
And using ads. And we were able to bring in leads at 78 cents per lead for that free ticket. But then our ROAS was through the roof. During this time, we were retargeting people for that low ticket offer for the VIP access pass. And so many of our ads had more than 12 ROAS, so 12 times what she was paying on ads. Wow. So we were just really at a place of trying to encourage her to spend more. And she did greatly increase her budget from what she was originally planning on spending. But yeah, so it was a really fun project to work on. It was very short time. And of course, a lot of work on her end to get that summit off the ground, but it worked really well. So now she's incorporating it as just a standard part of her business. She does summits twice a year, in addition to her evergreen funnels and evergreen products.
And so in that situation, you're just running ads straight to a free sign up for this, this I guess a summit, right? It's like an all day. Yeah. It's like an all-day webinar, I guess.
Yeah, it was like over the course of a week, she had multiple, I think 30 something speakers. And so it was just a free ticket, to join the summit. And she had a Facebook group. And so people were highly engaged in the Facebook group. And then we had ads retargeting people who opted in for the free ticket to let them know about the VIP access pass, so that they could take advantage of that. We had various phases because she had different price points based on the timing, but it worked really well. And so that can be something, if you know people in your space and you want to create a lot of great content. I mean, she grew her email list tremendously because all the speakers were promoting it, but then also she was able to make quite a great return from just this low ticket offer. And now, ever since she's been doing the summits, all her other products, the ROAS has greatly increased on all the other evergreen products as well, because she really grew her audience. So and so this year she hit 7 figures in her business for the first time ever. And it was just a fun for us to be a part of it and to help her with that.
It really begs the question, if you don't have a product that you can sell if you're relying on, say, advertising income, affiliate income. I mean, how much opportunity is potentially being left on the table for a website owner that has traffic, and is getting, monthly traffic mainly through search? Like, are they leaving a lot of potential on the table by not figuring out a way to develop a product, a course, a downloadable, and then going after these types of strategies?
I would say there's probably being a lot left on the table. And as you're building your audience, those people are and they you're building the relationship, they're building the relationship with you and your brand. And so I would take advantage of that and just test a low priced offer. So my client in the home building space, he has a $47 checklist. And so, that's a PDF. I think it's 17 pages long. And so he put it together once and it sells like crazy. So think about the questions that you keep getting and see how you can make a resource for that, to address those questions, or at least the most common question, and just try it. It could be, you could test it as just a tripwire on the back of your, free lead magnet, just, as a low priced offer, just see how that goes. And then, test the waters that way. But then you could try going straight to the sale, have it posted on your website throughout, have a sales page. And it doesn't have to be a long sales page, especially for a low price product like that. It could be, something very quick and easy to get up and get going, and then test the waters, send a few emails about it, but test it out and see how it goes. I would highly recommend people to do that because you've got their attention, you've got the relationship with them. And right now, your strategy is to be an affiliate for other people and have, other advertisers on your site that you're pointing traffic to. And I think there's a really big potential for scaling up when you develop your own products.
What are some tips you have for conversion? I mean, I'm thinking about a blogger who sits down and says, I do have a lot of expertise in this space. Let me go ahead and put together a $47 checklist or guide.
Yeah.
Let me put together a little mini course that basically just is a course on all the stuff I've already written about, right? And they put it all together and they start doing this. What tips do you have for selling, if you will, like in the copy, on the landing page? Any conversion tips for across the board?
Yeah. So I would think about, when you're thinking about the title of your product, think about what is the pain point? What is the biggest pain point your audience faces? And so for my client that has the home building checklist, he has in big text, not at the very top, but kind of, a third of the way down the main screen, it says you only have one chance to get it right. So he's calling out the fact that if you, miss something when you're building your home, it could be very costly or just a pain in the neck to have to deal with it down the road. And so you want to make sure that you get it right the first time. So think about, what is it that people are going through? What are they struggling with? What are the things that they commonly miss or don't know about that you can help address that can either, save them time or money? People will, spend money to save time and money. So, so think about that angle. And then as far as putting together the sales page, it doesn't have to be a long one. Make sure that it's mobile friendly, especially if you're running ads. But even if you're not running ads, in these days, most people are engaging in content, with content on their phone. So make sure that it's really nice and easy to scroll through on the mobile device. Make sure that you have testimonials. If if it's a brand new product, then it may take you a little bit of time to get some testimonials specific to that product, but maybe it's some testimonials vouching to your credibility in the space. Maybe it's some other experts or other people in your space that you can have write you a testimonial, say, verifying that you know what you're talking about, and that you're a great resource for this. And so gather some testimonials. The more testimonials you have, then the more that helps to build trust with people when they're getting ready to hand over their credit card.
Let's talk a bit about challengers coming up in this advertising space. You mentioned iOS updating to iOS 14, and that was a challenger. Did that cause ad rates to get more expensive? Were they just less effective? And then what about some of the upcoming cookie changes that are on the table and might go through? Is that going to make things more expensive, or what's that going to do to ad performance?
Yeah. So it's been interesting, these past couple of years with COVID and, all that's happened. And then of course the unknowns with the economy, there's always going to be a new challenge. So it was interesting when COVID hit, and of course, the world was kind of like, what's happening, in a panic of, just major uncertainty. a lot of digital products, a lot of education companies did really well during that time because all of a sudden people had a lot of time on their hands,
Yeah.
especially in the hobby space. Those sales went through the roof. So it can be, but a lot of advertisers pulled back on their ad spend during that time because of the uncertainty. So that made our ad costs drop. So we got better results for, lower ad spend during that time. And then last year during the fourth quarter, that's when people are really pushing for their year-end sales, holiday sales, things like that. So we see a lot more competition in the ad space. And so costs generally tend to rise during that time. This time we saw that a little bit, this fourth quarter, we saw that a little bit, but not as much as we have in other years, especially when during 2020, where people were kind of coming back at the end of the year into advertising, and it was an election and just lots of things going
Yeah.
on. So anyway, there's always going to be kind of those ebbs and flows. With iOS 14, we needed to kind of figure out, it took a little bit to figure out how to track in this new world where we had the limited window and all of that. But as time has gone on, tools have adapted. So it's other tools like third-party tools like shopping carts, Thrivecart, Samcart, other things have made it easier to track those conversions now that they kind of figured out what Apple was allowing. They've made updates. So that will always happen that, tools and platforms that we're using will make adjustments because they want to help their customers have those and see those conversions through their tools and their products. So going into 2023 with who knows what's going to happen with the economy and that could if the economy tanks and there's recession, then that could mean that it could be actually a really great time for those of us who are still advertising to kind of jump in and capitalize on those lower ad costs. And of course, Facebook is going to adjust and encourage people to advertise because that's their main bread and butter. With the metaverse coming along, there's going to be a lot more placements for ads. We haven't seen it in the ads manager where we can actually put ads in the metaverse yet. But we think it's coming soon because in the data charts that Facebook gives us, I saw Oculus as an option for
Oh,
placement.
interesting.
So we think that's on the horizon. So I think there's a lot of potential still. And even though like we first talked about, Facebook and Instagram ads kind of had their heyday way back when it was very popular, I still think there's a lot of potential with what's coming and going into the new year. And, there's always going to be those ups and downs, but I think there's a lot of potential with what we're seeing.
You bring up something that I hadn't thought about until you were just talking about. A lot of people who are running their own content websites will be making money off of ads on that site. And those ads are typically measured in terms like RPMs, which is
Mhm.
basically an overly general way of looking at what advertisers are willing to spend to have their ad placed on that person's website, right?
Mhm.
And it's almost in many ways the inverse, right? Like it's almost a great balancing tool to be using advertising to drive revenue to your site when you also rely on ad revenue on your site. Because as RPMs go up, your ad costs on, say, a Facebook might go up, but what you're earning from the traffic to your website will also go up. And then as RPMs go down, which is something that website owners are talking a bit about right now, that RPMs are down a bit right now. Well, hey, that does bode well for cheaper advertising when you want to push your product or your lead gen campaign on a Facebook ad.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So the more, the fewer advertisers that there are, then the better cost is really going to be for the rest of us.
So in many ways, if you're bummed about those low RPMs, that might be the perfect kick in the pants you need to try some Facebook advertising out. Okay. Let's see. So what would be the next steps you think for someone who is a blogger to take, just to kind of wrap it up here and kind of put a fine point on a lot of the different things we talked about? And then I have one more question about just what people should be on the lookout for that could really sink their campaign. But maybe let's just outline it, probably a bit of a recap. What are the next steps for someone who's never advertised before, but has content, maybe has a product or could create a product? What should they do to get started?
Yeah, I would get really clear on your goals. So if your goal is to, scale up your traffic to your site, then you may want to test out the waters with a traffic campaign. If you know that you make a lot of money through your email list and it's worth it to you to grow your email list and continue to, feed your newsletter, and you make affiliate or, or your own sales through your email list, then I would focus on growing your email list. Those are the two places that I would start if you're brand new to Facebook ads, just so you can kind of test it out with a lower budget, see how it goes, learn. You'll definitely learn a lot from testing out those different audiences, the different ads. And then you can take that. And then when you do have a paid product to offer, you can see, what is my conversion rate organically for my paid product? And is it high enough where I think I could test a little bit of ad spend going straight to the sales page? Or do I need to develop a funnel? If it's a higher price product, then you probably need to develop a funnel for that.
And what are the things that people need to make sure they pay attention to so they don't fail at this? I mean, obviously, I'm sure that certain products do much better than other products. Certain offers do much better than other offers. Certain niches do better than other niches. But in general, what are some common stumbling areas that people can look out for when they're setting up their first campaign that they want to avoid some mistakes?
So I would say make sure you know what the different options are. So, get that education piece under your belt so that you know how to set up your campaign in the right way. I do have a free Facebook ad starter kit, if I can share that.
Oh,
That will
yeah,
take people
great.
through the 6 simple steps for creating your campaign. So that helps you map out all of the different things you need to think about before you dive into the ads manager, so you're ready to create your campaign. So you're not just trying to figure it out on the fly and then hoping for the best. You've actually thought through your strategy and your goals and how you're going to do your targeting and create your ad and all of that. So that's all in the starter kit. People can find that at monicalouie.com/NP. So I would say get the education piece under your belt so that you know what you're doing when going into the ads manager, because there are a lot of different, oh gosh, so many different options in there. And of course, they
Yeah.
keep adding more. And so if you don't know what an option is or what it means or how it can affect your results, it could be that, if you don't get the results you're looking for, it's just because you had a setting that wasn't properly optimized. You clicked this and it should have been that in order to help you better achieve your goals. So all of that stuff can really have an effect on your results. And then also I would say, the testing, test different audiences, test different types of ads, different, graphics, static image versus video, short ad copy versus long ad copy. Test all those different variables, because pretty soon you're going to figure out what really hits and what really resonates, but you don't know unless you're testing. And then I would say stick with it too. So you don't have to spend a lot of money on ads, but you do need to be consistent about it. About doing it. So the people that waste the most money on ads are the ones that are like, oh, I'm going to, promote this here. I'm going to dabble here. I'm going to dabble there. A lot of my students come to me and say, yes, I've been a dabbler, but I'm ready to figure out how to do it right. And then that's when they end up seeing the results they're looking for.
Sounds a lot like growing a website. Consistency
Yes,
matters. Consistency
absolutely.
matters. Good. Okay, so you teased a free download. Where can people get that? And tell us a little bit more about it. I think you said monicalouie.com/NP. Is that right?
/NP. Yes.
I got it. Okay.
Yeah, you got it. So I think it's really cool. It's a Facebook ad starter kit. I've gotten great feedback on it. It takes you through the 6 simple steps for creating campaigns that convert. So you know exactly step by step what you need to think about as you're creating your campaign. If you're new to Facebook ads, Facebook has its own language. So I've got a little glossary in there so that you can, be clear on what some of the key terms mean. And then there's a checklist, because I love checklists and being organized, having my plan all mapped out. So there's a checklist in there to help you, go through the 6 steps, make sure you've got everything you need as you dive into the ads manager.
For your ad agency, how do you guys work with clients? Is there a minimum ad spend, or is there a threshold for amount of traffic that you have to have? Like, what if somebody maybe has been doing their own ads for a while now, but is looking to take the next step and wants to get that off their plate?
Yeah. So we've had students go through our course and then say, okay, I'm ready for you guys to just take this off my plate. I figured it out. It's working, but I'm ready for you guys to take it and scale it up. And so that's where we come in, where that you've got offers that convert and you're ready to scale up and go to the
Right.
next level. So our minimum suggested ad spend for our clients is $100 to $150 a day. So we have enough room for the testing, so we can test the different audiences, the different ad formats, and different offers, so we can focus in on what's working and then scale from there.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Good. That was a lot. We just covered a lot of ground in an hour. I feel unfortunately a little bit restless. I feel like I do feel like I'm leaving some stuff on the table by not harnessing advertising for some of the assets, the website assets I have myself. But that's a good sign, because that means that what you shared was really compelling. So I know that means that that there was a lot
And
shared.
there's a lot of potential. That means there's a lot of potential. Yeah.
Right. It does. It does. I mean, it's exciting to think about, and you really opened my eyes to a lot of possibilities. I think probably the most, I don't know, the most not important thing, but maybe the most insightful thing you said is how it really, you can start with such a little amount if you are consistent about it and you actually are testing so you can kind of learn what does and doesn't work. If you're willing to set aside, I mean, $5 or $10 a day and then put some time towards it. I mean, that's a really compelling idea, because it's not a huge kind of all in sort of thing.
Right, right. And I definitely suggest starting small. I mean, my background is in helping people get out of debt. So I want people to be smart with their money and where they spend their money. So start small, do some testing, figure out what works, and then scale from there.
Monica, thanks for joining us today. And I really appreciate you coming by and sharing so much good stuff about where ads are at today and how website owners and content creators can use ads to help add to their revenue. It's been great. So thanks for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. This is a lot of fun.
Sure thing. Talk soon.
Hey everyone, it's Spencer Hawes here, founder of the Niche Pursuits podcast. So I recently read a Twitter thread asking about the most underrated strategy in SEO. One of the most common answers given was internal link building. The reason? Well, sometimes people put so much emphasis on external links, they forget that not only do internal links provide relevancy and SEO benefits, but that Google actually encourages you to build internal links. Now, I get it. Building internal links can often feel time-consuming and boring. And that's why I created Link Whisper. Link Whisper is a powerful WordPress plugin that makes building internal links so much faster and easier. You can quickly get relevant internal link suggestions as you write, and with the simple check of a box, add one or multiple internal links to your articles. And perhaps my favorite time saver is the ability to see how many internal links all my articles have, and to quickly get new internal link suggestions to articles I want to boost in Google. With comprehensive internal link reporting and the ability to add links with the simple check of a box, I can't even imagine going back to building internal links manually. Link Whisper is by far the most powerful, effective, and easiest to use internal link building tool out there. Give it a try, and if you don't agree, I'll give you your money back, no questions asked. In fact, for podcast listeners only, I'm offering a $15 off discount. Just go to linkwhisper.com and use discount code PODCAST at checkout to save $15. So as the creator of Link Whisper, I might be a little biased, but I highly recommend that you head over to linkwhisper.com today to check it out. Again, that's linkwhisper.com, and be sure to use discount code PODCAST at checkout. Thanks again.